Good morning, Chrissy. Just popping on here to get things started up. Good morning from Ireland. You're all very welcome. I am here in County Wicklow in Ireland and very, very happy to be here. I just want to pop on so I can give it a couple of minutes for everybody to line up and to get going before I start the demonstration. So good morning, Chrissy. So I want to just say thank you, of course, to Chrissy and to Blake for organising all this. It's been amazing and so many fantastic demonstrators and everything like that. It's really lovely and thank you so much for asking me along. Good morning, Liz. How's everybody going? So I am going to be, I make sugar flowers, you can guess. I live in the Garden County in Ireland, in County Wicklow, and sugar flowers are my thing. So these are some of the ones that I've been doing. Just while it's jigging up, I'll show you a couple of ones. This one, we had our bank holiday here yesterday. This is the flower that I made yesterday. It's a David Austin rose. So these are some of the flowers that I've been making, my dahlias and everything like this. So lots and lots of different flowers, orchids. Flowers are my thing. I can't grow them, but I make them. So I grow flowers that I can't make, and I can't grow, and I make shoes I can't wear. That's what I always say anyway. So you're all really welcome along. We're just going to give it a couple of minutes just to let everything. Good morning, Nuala. How are you keeping? Nuala's in Dublin here. So if you don't know me, my name is Miriam Pearson and I have my own business which is called Sweet Creations. I am a sugar craft supplier, craft supplies of cutters and veiners for flowers, sugar paste, edible images, all sorts of cake decorations, and I make all my own line of cake decorations as well. So that's what I do. I live in Ireland, as I say. I live in County Wicklow in Ireland, which is known as the Garden County. Lucky enough, so I make flowers. It all works out very handy. So this morning what I'm going to be showing you how to do is I'm going to be making this wild Wicklow rose, I've called it. So I'm going to show you how you make the leaves, and I'm going to show you how you make the flowers and everything like that. And if you do have any questions as I demonstrate, good morning everybody. If you do have any questions as I go, please ask your questions. If I miss them, because there is a slight delay on the computer, so by the time I see them, so if I do miss them, please, I'll go back afterwards and I will answer any of the questions, or Chrissy is on hand as well to give us a handout. So I'm going to take you through how I make the wild Irish rose. All right. So a few of you guys on here. Hopefully, I know it's the small hours in EST time. I think it's 4:30, is it, in the morning? But get coffee, stick with me. I'm here for about an hour or so, and I can talk. So I might stay longer. You never know. But stay with me and we shall get going. So I'm just going to pop you down onto the table while everything syncs up here, and we'll get going in a couple of seconds. All right, so just let me pop you down and we'll get her going. So let me just pop this on here, and hopefully you can see where I'm going to be working right here. So that should help for you there. And also please share, and tag your friends, get everybody in to have a look and see what we're all about. So like I say, this here is the rose that I'm going to make, so you should hopefully be able to see a little bit better there. So this is the rose here that I'm going to make. Good morning, Sharon, my gorgeous friend just up the road from me. How are you keeping? So this is what we're going to do. So let's just get started. All right. So what I'm using is, for roses, I mean, they're my most favorite flower to make anyway, so they are. So what I am using is, I'm using my own brand of flower paste. I came up with this flower paste about 1.5 years ago now, I think. Actually, yeah, 1.5 years ago, I think. So I have it in 18 different colours, and I make it in 18 different colours. So it's the lemon, it's the yellow one that I'm going to make right now. I've got it from every colour from white to black. So lots and lots of different colours. So that's my flower paste that I'm going to be using. I'm using 2 sizes of rose petal cutters, and I'll just give you the measurements here now because I know some people want to try along. So this one here is a 4 centimetre or 1.5 inches. and this one here is a 5 centimetre or 2 inch. So it varies. That's what I've used for this size rose here that we're going to be making. So that's what I've used there. All right. That's the one we're using there. Then also, so Sarah, this is a wild Wicklow rose. Okay, so this is the type of rose you'll find grown wild, literally in Ireland. There's lots and lots of wild roses that grow in Ireland, and it's something like this. We have, I'm a farmer's wife, so we've kind of lots of them grown in the hedges, and it's something like this. So it's just a wild rose, but it's a really nice statement flower to add on to your cakes and everything like that. Now, also a couple of little bits of homework that I have to do just before I start. So what I will have a giveaway at the end of my demonstration. You will need to answer a question. I've picked out a number, which Chrissy knows, and the number, the number or the person who answers to correspond with that number, the correct number, will win the prize. So the prize will be, we have a Cosmos Feiner from Sugar Delights. Everybody knows Sugar Delights. Jennifer and Jason Dunst over in the USA. I'm very privileged. I'm one of the suppliers here. I'm the only supplier in Ireland, and I supply to the UK and everywhere. So I stock all their cutters and veiners. And actually one of the veiners that I'm going to be using, this is the Memory Lane veiner. This comes from Sugar Delights. So you'll all know their products and the amazing quality that Sugar Delights is. So we've got a Cosmos veiner. The second prize for my giveaway is actually, I'm giving away a prize as part of it. So I teach online classes as well. Let me just move this out of the way so I can show you what the prize is. This here is my David Austin roses, and this is a class that I'm teaching this Saturday on Facebook. It's in a private Facebook group. So I'll be showing how to make this spray and the leaves and the berries and everything like that. My part of the prize is I'm going to give away a space on the class. So the person that wins, when I ask the question at the end, the person that wins will win a space on my class for the David Austin Rose, and they'll also win the Cosmos Feiner from Sugar Delights. So I just have to remember to ask the question. But the question will be at the end of the demonstration, and it will be something that I will say or something that I will do during the demonstration. So you've got to listen up. So let's get started. We've got our yellow sugar flour paste, and you must use flour paste for this. Sugar paste won't work for wired flowers. They won't hold on the wires because you've got wires going into the back of all the petals. So you need it to be able to hold, and sugar paste just won't work. Fondant icing or sugar paste, it won't work. You must use either flour paste or gum paste. Either or, everyone will call it different things depending where you're from. So we have our flour paste, we've got our cutters, we've got our veiner, a rose veiner here. And then I use very expensive products. So these guys here, very expensive. They are my plastic spoons, and I use these as formers. I do also, if I'm making bigger roses, I use my Mother's Antique Silver soup spoons. Okay, amazing soup spoons because they've got a huge big bowl in them, so they really give you a lovely set on your petals. So I use those as well. She does know that I use her antique silver for sugar flowers, and she's thrilled because they get used. Otherwise they'd sit in the drawer. And then I'll come to dusting and everything like that first. So let me get on, because I yap, if anybody knows me. I've been doing demonstrations every week on Facebook, on my Facebook page every Sunday night. I've been doing sugar flower demonstrations. So if any of you guys have been following them, you'll know I yap and I tend to get a bit carried away. But anyway, I will try and be quiet and just do the demonstration. So let me first of all make the center for you here. So I'm going to show you how to make this. You can make ready, or you can use ready-made stamens if you want. I'm going to show you how to make your own stamens. All right. So that will help you. I've taken this here is just, it's just a kind of a beige tan colored thread. So this is what I want to make the stamens. And I'm using, to put my stamens on, this is a 24G wire. Okay. So to make the centres, I wind the thread around my fingers. Don't close your fingers in too tight. Keep a little bit of a gap, okay? So don't close your fingers in too tight because it'll do two things. It's very hard to get the thread off, but it'll also cut off the circulation. So you don't want blue fingers. So just keep on wrapping the thread around your fingers. The more you go, obviously, the fuller that it's going to get, okay? Yeah, my spoons, swizzle spoon, the antique silver spoons. Now, what I actually do as well, if I'm looking for spoons, I go into charity shops, and often you'll get really nice old spoons because they're deep. They're really deep. So I just keep wrapping the thread around my fingers. I'll just cut that then, and you can go, the more you go on this, the fuller it's going to be. This technique you can use for like blackberry flowers, lots where you'd have like cherry blossom, just real thready kind of flowers. You can use this as well. All right. So hopefully if there are questions. Mary, we love our chat. We do love our chat. The Irish love to chat. You guys know that. So I take it off my finger and I've just got a little ring then of the threads. Okay, what I do then is that I will hold it between my thumb and finger. Now you'll notice, I know my hands are going to look backwards on the screen. I'm right-handed, so if you think this is my left hand, it's going to look right-handed on the screen. So on my left hand, my thumb is facing up. On my right hand, my finger is facing up. And all I do is I turn them. So I just turn my right hand until both thumbs are facing up and I get basically a figure 8. Probably hard to see, but a figure 8. I want to fold that up in half so I get one loop folded in onto the other. I'm going to place my wire through, pull that down, okay. Hello Teresa from New York at 4:10 a.m. I love dedicated sugar crafters. I love it. But we're night owls, aren't we? So, you know, we're always up at this hour anyway. I mean, I don't do cakes, but if I can't sleep, I get up and I just work because otherwise I'm lying in bed thinking about the work that needs to be done. So I may as well just get up. So I've just pulled the wire through and I've just taped it off then on the end. So both my loops. Now I want to just tighten that in a little bit there at the top. So, and remember guys, for any of you that have just joined me, there's a giveaway at the end of my demonstration. So you need to listen, because I'll say something or I'll mention something during the demo and the question will be at the end and then we'll give away the prizes at the end. So I've just pulled the tape up a little bit more just to tighten those little loops a small bit. So you get this looped center with lots and lots of threads on it, like this here. What we want to do then is we want to just take a fine scissors and I want to just cut through those loops. Now don't mind this is all going to be kind of different lengths and everything like that. That's okay, all right? What you want to do then, and I would normally do this over the bin. I wouldn't do it on my work table just because you get lots of little threads on it. So hold the threads between your thumb and your finger and you want to just cut. So you give it a haircut. Turn that and pinch it again so you get it nice and even. Okay. Hello, Kelly McWilliam. A good fine Scotswoman there again, following on from Jackie Kelly, another lovely Scots lady. Okay, so we're just trimming all this and we're just getting it all nice and even. And then I just want to fluff that a little bit so that it opens out. So that will make your stamens. Now, the reason I was saying I do this over the bin, because you get all these little bits of threads. So you want to be certain they're not going to be in your workspace then afterwards. Obviously, thread in the flour paste is not a good thing. So let's just make sure that they're gone. So that will make your center. Okay. What you want to do then is you want to put pollen on the end of it. Okay. So this pollen here, this is my own pollen and I have 5 different brands of this. So this is the ivory kind of color of it. You could use a darker brown if you want, which I have here. So I just have one a little bit darker brown and we just want to put some pollen on this. So I'm going to take my edible glue. I am going to just dip the stamens into my edible glue, just barely catching the tip of the threads. You can brush it on if you want, and then into the pollen. Spin it off to get off any excess. And look at that, nice and easy. So what you don't want is you don't want kind of clumps of pollen. Just kind of separate those out a little small bit there for yourself as well. All right. So you can make these. Now, what I would normally do is that I'll make like a bunch of these in all sorts of different colors. So, and I have them, then they're ready. So basically, these here are lots of different ones that I have made, okay? So I just have them in different colours and you can mix and match. There's red thread with yellow pollen. The lime green pollen I love, you've got yellow thread. And what I do is I make these when I make them when I'm sitting down with my mother-in-law. So, you know, it just occupies so you can wind the thread around. And it also confirms that she knows I'm a little bit touched. So that's fine. We both get occupied. But I make them at night and then they're done and ready. So you want to leave that dry then before you start to make it. Or before you start to tape up at least, or it'll go everywhere. So you just dip your pollen in and take off. The only thing you want to be aware of is that you don't have lots of clumps of the pollen. Just separate that out a little bit if it happens. All right. So that's your center. Then we want to get on to making the petals. Okay. Very easy to do, Sarah. Very easy to do. So for the petals, you can use a veining board if you want to do that. Or you can use, these are a veining pin, a veining rolling pin that I have. Brilliant, really brilliant, handy little item. So you can use either or for it. What you want to do is you want to take your flour paste. Now I'm calling it flour paste, guys. You probably call it gum paste. And I'm going to just make one of each size for you. I'll use the rolling pin and I'll use the veining board just so you see how to make both. And then to set them, I've got my very expensive spoons, so expensive I couldn't afford the handles, but they're very, very, very useful and I use these all the time. Okay. We take our flour paste, and always with flour paste or gum paste, you need to knead it up. Same as with your sugar paste and your fondant, you need to share it up as, or you need to knead it just to warm up those gums and to soften it up a little small bit. So we just knead that up nicely, just so as it gets nice and pliable again, because it's been sitting in the tub, you know, so it just needs to be heated up or softened up a little small bit, okay? And this has got lemon oil in it, so it's just delicious. It's really lovely and fresh, so it is. And what I would do is always when I'm not using this, I'll pop it back into the pot for it, you know, just so it doesn't dry out on me. So I just take a very small little bit. And if you don't know the veining boards, they have grooves in them. So this one here has got 4 grooves, 4 different depths. So if I was doing a big leaf, you can see probably scratches on it. I've used this so much. But if I was doing a big leaf, I do a deeper groove in it. And for smaller petals or leaves, I use the finer one. So you'll see, yeah, you can probably see there. You see they're just on different depths. So you can probably see that there. So we place our flour paste down over the smallest groove. And we just roll it out. Now, I don't generally use corn flour or any white fat or anything like that if I don't need to, because if I use it, then I've got to get rid of it. So unless I need it, I don't use it. So we just roll out, and what I can see is let me see, can you see it? So I can see the shadow of the vein going up where the little groove that's in the board. I can see that there. I want to go as fine as I can. So how I would teach somebody to get really fine petals is take a piece of gum paste, and think, right, I'll make a petal out of that, but then take half of it away and stretch it out until you get the size of petal you want, and it will get, you'll get finer and finer. You should be able to read newsprint through it. That's how fine you need to go. So what we do then is we take our smaller cutter here, and this is just your teardrop rose cutter. What I do then is I just press down on it, and I use these acrylic squares because quite often your hands get sore if you're doing a lot of these. So I use the acrylic square, and it just gives you a really clean cut. Lift my paste up and over the cutter, and I just hold the cutter down while I'm doing that so it doesn't move, and you get a lovely clean cut. You can run your finger around just to make certain that it's clean. And it's really warm here in Ireland this morning. I think we're already up near 20 degrees, I would say, which for Ireland is hot, very hot. So what I do then is just take this out of my cutter, and I'm taking here, this is a 30G wire, so it's very fine. 30G wire. You can dip it into your glue. If I take off the lid of the glue, it would help as well. So I dip it into my glue. Always when you dip into glue, take the excess glue off on the back of your hand because you don't want lots of glue on it. And thread the wire down through that vein. So the veining board has made that little vein for us. So you want to thread the wire down and you will feel exactly where the wire is. Go about a third or halfway if you can. If it pokes out through the petal like this, just reverse it back, clutch it and reverse it back, and it will pop back in for you. What I do then is I take the rose veiner, and this is the Memory Lane rose veiner from Sugar Delights, which is just incredible. And I just place my petal down onto the veiner, press it. Now, don't press it too hard. It's sugar, guys. It's not concrete. That's what I always say. So, press it down until you get those veins on it. So look at that for delicious, delicious veins. Really beautiful rose veiner. And then I want to just pop this onto my foam pad and I just want to soften it. So I take a ball tool, and I prefer to use metal ball tools. So just take the ball tool, I run around the edges of it. I don't want it to be too frilly. And then I want to just curl back those edges a little bit. Okay. Then I take my former, which is my spoon in this case, and these ones here, the big soup spoons that I mentioned, I use those for big petals. So I was making yesterday an O'Hara rose, and these are the spoons that I used for this, but depending on the size of the petals. So this plastic spoon is nice because it's pointed, so it'll give you that. And you see, you get the edges falling over the side like this, so you get that curl, and you would leave that then to dry in the spoon. I generally make my petals today and then I do all my dusting tomorrow. Okay, then what I'll do is I'll make a second petal, but I'll use the veining pin just so as you can see kind of both methods. So I'll make a larger one with that. So let's just take back some paste. Okay, and then so then roll that out. Now I'm not going as thin this time, because what I need to do is I need to create that vein for the wire. So just roll it out fairly thin. So I'm not gone super thin on it this time. Okay, then I take my veining pin and I roll down. Just press and roll down. So that obviously thins out the edges, but it leaves that vein in the center of it. And what I can do then is I can just thin out the top now where I do want it nice and thin. So if you don't have a veining board, the veining pin is brilliant. It's really brilliant for this. So what I do then is that I will just cut out my bigger petal. So you want the vein center up center on the petal. Press that down, just get a nice even cut on it. And again, we take the acrylic square. Okay. Hold your cutter down and lift your paste then up and over. Up and over, like taking off your t-shirt, up and over. So pop this out. So make sure always you have a nice clean cutter. And a little tip for you guys as well, when you're finished doing your flowers, make sure you clean those cutters. Now my preference is always metal cutters. They're more sturdy and they always will give you a cleaner cut. But when you're finished, rub your fingers around and just clean off, because the sugar crystals can actually affect the edges of your cutter. So just a little bit of homework, get into that habit of just giving it a wipe. So we lift up our petal again, we take our wire, which again, this is a 30G wire, dip it into glue and take off any excess glue on the back of your hand, and then thread in the wire. Okay, so just thread that in along. And I can feel exactly where the wire is. You'll feel it against your finger, and it's not poked through anywhere. We pop that into the veiner again. So this just shows you two methods. So it's showing you how to do the veining board and then the veining pin. Press down on this, so you get that nice little vein on it. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining in. It's lovely to see you all here, and thanks for all the organisation. We take this out of the veiner then, and you get those lovely veins. All right. Then onto the foam pad, and I want to vein. Now, when I'm doing these wild roses, I actually ball tool on the back of the petals. So how do you know which way is which? So the front of the petal, the veins are dipped in, okay? On the back of the petal, the veins are risen. So think of it this way: varicose veins on the back of your leg, varicose veins on the back of the petal. That's how you remember. Okay. So I would always ball tool on the back of the petal, just because when you ball tool, it lifts up the paste at the edge. So if you want that curl, if you want the petal curled back, well, if you ball tool on the back of the petal, it's already started to encourage it that way. Okay. Hi, Kerry. How are you keeping? Kerry's so good. You're really great for sharing everybody's work, as is everybody on the page. So you see, you encourage it back a little bit. If you want to really exaggerate the curl a little bit, I need to find, I've got another very expensive piece of equipment. So expensive, it's gone missing on me. Let me see. Let me just grab a fresh one. And of course it's gone missing, the piece of equipment that I needed. I will find it. I will hunt it down. Or maybe not. Okay, anyway, it was a cocktail stick. I use cocktail sticks all the time. So you can just roll a cocktail stick under that just to encourage those little folds and curves. Alrighty. Take our spoon again, our little former here, and place that over. And always what I'm doing is that I'm placing the edge of the petal over the top of the spoon. So that's the back view. And naturally, you see how the spoon is kind of pointed? So naturally, it's going to form that petal. Can you see? I know it's fallen away from it now, but can you see there? And then you see the dip of the spoon will give you that curve in the petal. So that's what you want to try and achieve. So what I do is, for this flower, I will make 6 of the small. So if anyone just missed the measurements, it was 4 and 5 centimetre, wasn't it? 4 centimetre, 5 centimetre. So I'll make 6 and 6. Okay, you can go another size up if you want to do that, and you can make 6 of a bigger size petal again. If you were doing this, let's say from a big statement flower on a cake, you could do 18 petals. So on this one here, on this flower, I have 12. Okay, so it's up to you. But when you do, I do them in rows of 3. So you'll see now when I tape up. So I do rows of 3. So I would do 3 of this, then and 3 of this, and then 3 and 3 of this. And then if you want to do a bigger statement flower, you could do a next size up and do 6 of those petals and tape it up. And you'd have a really nice big statement flower. Depends what you want to do. Depends how much you're getting paid. So you can do that as well. Okay, so that's the size I have used for this rose here. So I've used 12 petals in total, 6 of each size. Alrighty. Hi, Susan. Lovely to see some of my Sunday night accompaniments at least joining in. Lovely to see you all. So that's how I make my petals. Always what I would do, my rule of thumb is I will make all my centers, then I do a kind of production line. So I make all my centers, then I make all my petals, then I make all my leaves, and then I clean everything down, and then I do all my dusting and my assembly. That's how I do it. It's more time effective, I guess, in work. And also because I make flowers and I send them all over the world. So if I can get a production line going, then I'll be more cost effective. So that's what I do there. So let me start then to dust up. Once you have everything made, you can start to dust up. So you have to remember, I'm not on my own page now, so I can't yap. Because I am a yapper. Oh, I need to make a leaf for you first. Let me just make you a leaf. So let me show you these guys here. So these are my rose leaf Feiners. And I'm just going to quickly make a leaf for you. I'll actually make a leaf on the Twiddle method because it's a third method of, it's a third way you can make this. If you don't have veining pins or you don't have veining boards, I'm going to make a leaf on the Twiddle method so you can see all 3 ways of adding wires to the back petals or the back of leaves. Good morning, Carl Smith. So I have made some because obviously I want to be able to dust them off and make them. For the leaves, I will use, let me just pop out some wire. So I'm using about a 26G wire for my leaves. Now for very small ones, you can drop down to a 28. And for anyone who doesn't know, the florist wire that we use, they come in 14-inch lengths in packs of between 50 and 100 wires in the pack. There's a number on each pack, okay? So for example, this is number 28. Both of these are 28. So they'll come in 14-inch packs. The higher the number, the finer the wire. Okay, so for example, if I was doing the David Austin that I did yesterday, it's got 18G wire holding it because it's a very heavy flower. So the finer the work, the higher the wire that you need, the finer the wire. So I'm using for these leaves here, I'm using a 26G wire. 26 or 28 is fine. It's absolutely perfect. So Judith, yeah, I just went through the petals there. Hopefully you heard it. 6 of each I've used on this one here. Carl, you're never late to the party. Party doesn't start till you get here, Carl. So I'm just taking some green, dark green paste, kneading it up then again. And this time I'm going to show you, as I say, the twiddle method. So we shall just line everything up so you have everything to hand, because when you're using flour paste or gum paste, because it's so warm in here now at the minute, in Ireland, it's just warm. So everything will start to skin over very quickly. So you want to have everything prepared. So have your cutters and veiners, have your wires ready, have your glue ready, everything done. Little tip for you, when I roll out paste, it'll kind of, not that it dries over, but it will always kind of skin over a little small bit. So what you do is when you roll it out, turn it upside down. That means now you've got fresher paste on the top and you will get a cleaner cut. So we place down our cutters. My table is a little bit twisted and quite often my boards are twisted, so I always use this acrylic square. So we take off the clean around there, take off the excess. Let's just pop that down and let's do one of each size for you. And I tend not to roll out big pieces of paste in one go for the simple reason that you can't get it as fine. So I roll out little small ditty pieces. That's what I use there. Pop on the acrylic square just to keep that fresh, okay? And then we want to twiddle. So twiddle's a technical term, don't you know? It's not an Irish saying. And I may well use some sayings actually that are Irish that mean completely different things in America. So I do apologise if I start to talk about crack. It is a different thing entirely in Ireland. But anyone that's been to Ireland, you've had the crack, so you'll know what I mean. So I'm taking a teeny little piece of paste and I've got my wire here. The length of wire, I cut them in about 5 thereabouts for leaves because you really don't need much length on it. So what I do then is I place on no glue. I place on the paste onto my wire. How far down do I want to come? I want my wire to go about halfway up the leaf. So I place the paste where I need it to end. Okay? Between my thumb and my finger, I twist. And I'm turning, and as I'm turning, I'm pulling upwards. And this is called twiddle. Okay? So I'm twist and pull upwards, and keep going up to the top. Basically what you're doing is you're coating the wire in paste. So that's my smaller leaf. And then let's do the same. And I will often work with just a little bit of paste in the crook of my hand like this. It keeps it warm and it means I don't have to keep dipping in and out of the pot. So there's always a little bit of paste sitting there. Sometimes I wake up at night and there's a bit of paste there. No, I'm joking. I'm not that bad. So let's do that again. So place the paste down along your wire. Bigger leaf this time. So we need to come about halfway up. So that's about right. Okay. So, sorry, yes, Hamilworth wire. Hamilworth wire is what I use. I love sunrise wires as well, but they've got to be paper covered wires, remember this. So we twist and we pull up and you can see you're literally just coating the wire in paste. That's all you're doing. Take these off now. Okay, so take them off. You want to keep them covered because they'll skin all the time. Then what I do is I will take a small bit of glue and I'll just glue on one side of that twiddle, place that down on my leaf, press that along. Okay, glue there, press that along, turn it upside down. Okay, center it onto the leaf. Can you use twiddle for competition? Personally, I wouldn't, to be honest, Sarah. I generally use a veining board. I compete every year. I'm a bit of a competition junkie, actually. So I compete every year at Cake International. I went to Cake and Bake in Germany last year. I was the one crying in the toilets. And I go to the Irish Sugarcraft Show, of course. We've just had that in March. We barely got it in before lockdown. So I would use the veining board generally, Sarah, to be honest, for competition, because the danger on the twiddle, if you do it too thick, then you can see it. So place it into your veiner, and what you want to be certain is that the wire comes down that back vein, so this line here. Okay, press down, and basically when you lift that off, so you've got those gorgeous veins on the back. So you can see, you will nearly always see a slight little crease. Bar it's very deep, you'll nearly always see a slight crease of twiddle. And actually, sorry, just in competitions, that will drop you marks very quickly. If anyone is competing, I mean, what you need to remember is, it's how David Close always explains it. When you go into a competition, you've got 100 marks, and his job is to take them. So if anyone knows Dave, everyone knows David. David is famous. His job is to take those 100 marks off you. So for every error that you have, you drop a mark, you drop a mark, you drop a mark. And when you move up in grades, so up to masterclass, you drop more marks for every mistake you've made. So if they can see a crease on the back of your leaf, if it doesn't look natural enough, you'll drop back on marks. So you need to look botanically correct. We ball tool the edge then, just to soften that a little small bit. And Chrissy, you'll know from competition work as well. I mean, I don't know if you'd use the twiddle method. So we ball tool those guys, get a little bit of a frill on them. And what I do then is just down between my thumb and finger, just to encourage a little bit of movement. And because this is a very light wire, you can curl it a little bit. Okay, so I will make those. What I do then is I just pop them onto my bumpy foam, so that little curve will stay, or I'll hang them. I often have wires hanging out, light fittings over the kitchen table. If I'm working at night time in the watching TV, I'll hang them up out of the light and everything. So my husband has to sneak into the house, because you wouldn't know where I'd have stuff, press handles and everything, anywhere that it'll dry. So that's how you make your leaves, and that's on the twiddle method. You can do the petals on the twiddle method as well. That's not a problem. What you do want to do is you want to be certain that the twiddle is as fine as fine. It's only just a little bit of paste, so you can stick it to the back of the leaf. Or if you don't do that, then you want your veining pin or you want your board. But you can make the leaves and the petals on any of the 3 different methods. All right, so let's get some colouring done. Now, what I use is a colouring box. And on my weekly demonstrations, so on my page, if anyone is on it, I'm at sweetcreations.ie. sweetcreations.ie, and every Sunday night since I'm on week 15 right now, so every Sunday night since March, I think, since St. Patrick's Day, that was my first one. I've been doing a demonstration on a different flower every week, and you'll see my dusting box. It's absolutely nothing fancy. It's a brown cardboard box. Okay, it's equally as expensive actually as the plastic spoons, probably. Maybe the plastic spoons came in it, I don't know. I lie it with a piece of tissue. Okay, so it basically means if you're dusting up an awful lot of flowers, you can shift and move this, and your workspace isn't getting destroyed with dust. It's the same if you were doing for your models or for anything like that. You can use the dusting box. And if you were doing flowers for a wedding, well, you might be mixing a certain colour. So if you just keep this until the cake is done and out and finished and away, because you might always need to return to the colours, so at least they're there and you don't have to keep cleaning down every time. Brushes that I use flat brushes for flowers. You can see some of them are very fine, some of them are a little bit thicker, depends on what I'm doing. So this fine one here, which has, I think it's got 6 bristles in it, I counted them, this I would use for painting. Emily, who was on earlier, probably uses a lot more of these fine brushes than what I do. She's so incredible. I adore Emily's work. And so these brushes here, I have lots of brushes. What I do though is that because I do an awful lot of flowers, I'll keep a brush. So you can see this is my green brush. This is my red brush. So I'll keep a brush for a colour, because it's very hard to get the pigment out of them. So what I do tend to do is that I just keep this. So okay, even though it's washed and cleaned, you may still have pigment on it. So if you have a green brush and then you go and you try and dust yellow, there is a risk that the green might taint it a little small bit. So that's what I do there. Colours that I'm using for this rose here, this is a mango, which is just delicious. This one here is a magenta. Equally, I adore this Rose Campion, it's called. Now, I'm not sure what brands you guys will have, but I mean, look at that. Bright and any morning, wouldn't it? So yeah, Elfin, I'm on YouTube. Sure, I'm gone global. I'm learning YouTube. So yeah, I'm slowly getting there. So let me start to dust up, and then we'll get taping up. So what I've done is I've made off my petals here. Such a way to lift petals. You'd think I was plucking them out of nowhere. So we've got our petals made, and like I say, they're dried and they've got that little curve on it. So I'm not too sure on what brand of colours you'll have. I know you guys are from all over, so I'm not too sure what brand of colours you guys will have, but obviously I don't have a set brand that I love. I just straighten out these wires just while I'm doing this. So I don't have a set brand of colours that I love, but what I do is I go for the colour. Now, the one thing you need to do, and somebody mentioned earlier on, Syra, is that for competition work in Ireland, now I don't know if this applies everywhere, it does in some competitions, but in Ireland we are only allowed to use dust colours that are edible, and it must say edible on the pot, and that's one of our rules, which actually, if we don't do it, we can be disqualified. We do get disqualified. So that's one thing that you do need to look out for. If it doesn't say it, I mean, I know this one here from Fractal is non-edible, but if it doesn't say it, then you need to check with the supplier, and generally you can get a spec on the product. Yeah, please, if you could suggest some equivalents, that would be brilliant. So you want to just check that if you need them to be edible, they're edible. If you're doing this for a cake and they're not edible, now with my sugar flowers, I put in a disclaimer anyway to all of my customers, saying that while this is made of sugar, I mean, there's wires in it and the tape, so really it's non-edible. So I would generally just put in my disclaimer and tell people, look, it's this, and it shouldn't be eaten. You've got to cover yourself now, don't you? So what I do is I cradle the petal in my hand. I keep my finger under the petal just so as it's supported. And I come from the bottom, but I come halfway up and it's just fading out. Okay, so now, and always you'll make your petals and your leaves in the palest colour. So I want some of that pale yellow, but I want to intensify it a little small bit. So we go through our petals this way. And put your dust out onto the tissue, because don't just dip into the pot and straight onto the petal. It'll be like a drag queen petal, which is perfectly fine if that's what you want. But if you don't want it to look like drag queen makeup, you can, you need to come out onto the tissue and just build it up. Now you can build it up as intense as you want, that's fine. And quite often I would do that really strong colours, so it entirely depends on what you want to do. I mean, I don't mean that, but you know, when depending on the lighting as well, that's what you want to think of too. Where are these going to be? If they're in broad daylight, you want to soften down the colours a bit because they look more intense. If they're in, sometimes I used to do wedding cakes and they would be in a room with no windows. So you're only working on ballroom lighting, and that'll affect the colours very much. So you might want to just intensify them a little small bit. So just do the back and the front of each petal. Okay. Dusting up, and I'm just dusting up the centre. And this is why I make all the petals and then I come back and I do all my dusting. It's just more productive to do this. Knock your dust out onto your tissue and you kind of work it onto the brush and then onto your petal. And you see how I'm fading it up, so I'm not going all the way up and over the petal. Okay. And you just do each one. So I'm onto the larger ones now and suddenly they come to life. So they start to come to life a little bit. You can highlight those veins at the back. Just if you want to drag in the brush sideways across, flat across the petal, that will intensify them a little bit. Okay. Ooh, we have to speed up today. I'm used to being on for about 2 hours. I yap. So this is my magenta. This is my mango colour, which is my second most favourite. Lime green is my absolute favourite colour. I adore lime green. I use it for everything, near enough. So we just dust all those guys up. Quickly for you. Okay. Now I was saying earlier on, for anyone that has joined us there and didn't see, so I was talking earlier on about some classes that I'm doing. So one that I have coming up this Saturday, it's my David Austin Rose. I'll show it to you now later on. It's my David Austin Rose. And so I've been teaching, and I think the amazing thing in all of this lockdown, there's been so much goodwill in the cake community. It's just been very humbling. I know I have gotten huge amount of goodwill over the last few months. I actually opened a shop. I'm 17 years in business and I opened a shop. Close your pots when you're not using them, because that's when I tend to fly them everywhere. I opened a shop on the 2nd of March and I closed it on the 13th. So I'm hoping I can reopen shortly. But I'm teaching classes. I've been teaching classes online, and one of them that I'm doing, it's the David Austin this Saturday, and it's just been so great. I did the O'Hara Rose last weekend was a class that I took. I wasn't teaching it, I took it, and I did that. That was with Suzanne Esper, and I'm just learning. It's a time that I've spent learning and teaching and sharing, and it's just been really good. So I've taken a little bit of each colour here, so the magenta and the peony rose, and I'm just blending them. I just want a nice pink one. Now this time what I'm doing is I'm coming from the top down. Look at that for magic. Right? But I'm only just tickling it down a little small bit. Okay? Front and back if you wish. So that's that. So you'll do the same on this. Hello, Shelley Nichols in Sweden. How are you? So we're just going to highlight a little small bit, just that pink. Okay. Just a little bit. And quite often you've plenty on the brush. You actually don't need lots and lots. So work it onto the brush and then kind of, I'm not taking it off, but I'm just softening it on the brush. Like say, you don't want that really strong, intense kind of colour. And if you're doing a lot of these, you know, you do end up with coloured hands, and I often go out of the bakery looking like I've been in a massacre if I'm covered in some of these colours. You just get destroyed, and they tend to just take a day or so to clean off properly. So each one of those guys, and you can see it starts to highlight it, and then we just do these little small guys here. And these videos will be saved here obviously on the page, and they're being shared in groups, which is fantastic, but they're saved here so you can always go back in and look at these videos. I think it's been a credit to Chrissy and Blake actually for all the work that they've put in, and as a demonstrator on the page as well, they've been so good and so kind to us all week and helping us along. Some of us, it's been our first kind of time doing demonstrations, so it is a nerve-wracking time. You're there kind of, when you're live, and it has been, and I know Chrissy and Blake have been so kind. So you can just play with this, you can play with colour, and if you were doing these for a cake, for a wedding, maybe you're trying to match a colour, you've got an artistic license. You can drag across again and just highlight some of those little veins there. Okay, so that's our dusting, and like I say, I use the dusting box for the simple reason that I can just put that aside and I can come back to it if I want to do that. If I want to age these a little small bit, I will just very quickly take a little bit of burgundy, just a tinge, and then I can just pull so I can darken that a little bit, just a little tip of it if you want to do that as well. All right, so that's on my dusting. My leaves then, I'll just do a couple of those for you just so you can see. So, good morning everybody that's saying good morning. And yes, thank you Chrissy and Blake. Amazing, amazing. Lime green, my favourite colour. Well, purple's my favourite colour, but for flowers, lime green every time. So I'm just going to take a couple of the leaves. And what I do generally is if I want to do a stem of leaves, I will make kind of some big, some small. You don't want them all the same. So I'm just going to quickly dust a couple of these guys. So let me just get, this is Gingka Green it's called. So it's a nice dark green. So I'm just going to colour up a couple of those. Remember, the back of leaves are always a bit paler. So you want to just drag your brush sideways on the back of leaves. Okay, so they're always a bit paler on the back because they don't see the sunshine. So they don't colour up as much. So we just dust all over those guys. And then I just want to highlight the sides. Same again on the back, drag it sideways so you highlight those veins. And let me just do one more just so I have something for the stem. And we'll pop this together. Then what you want to do is on the sides, you want some burgundy. Okay. So we're taking a little bit of burgundy colour. Okay, again, I'm not sure on what brands you guys will have. I love lime green. I do love it, Carol. It pops everything. So I'm taking some burgundy. I'm loading up my brush and I'm coming from the edges in. Can you see on most rose leaves, they will have this little burgundy flush on the sides of them. Okay, so that's those guys there. And the same on the edges. Just pull in that burgundy, and this is what will up your game a little bit as well. If you're doing competition work, you want them to be botanically correct. I mean, I've been known to park up the shopping trolley and get into a flower bed to have a look at a specific flower that I'm using, I want to make. I don't pull them ever because obviously it's illegal to do that, but I will get in and I'll get the camera and I'll get all angles. And I follow also, actually, if I'm looking for flowers, so that's that done. I follow you know, these photographers that do really close-up work, so I follow those guys then as well. There is one guy that I follow and he's amazing, Paul Heimink. I'm not actually sure whereabouts he's based, but he is just an incredible photographer, and he does really close up. But the problem with a lot of photographs is you don't get the back of the flower. So I'm just going to give these leaves, I'll just do it off camera because I don't want to spray the glaze on my board. I'm just using the PME, the clear spray glaze. This is your edible varnish, which is just in a spray. So what I'll do is I normally would do this just in a box. What you can't see is I'm holding it over the bin just to give it a quick spray. So just a quick little spray. Glazes it up, okay, and that will not be, it won't stay as shiny, but can you see the difference what it does? So can you see what it does? It just sets all the colors, but don't do this over your workboard or your kitchen counters or anything because it will destroy it. You could also just hold the leaves in a little bit of steam in the kettle if you want to do that as well. Okay. So let's put this baby together, and you will see when that sits, it'll fade down to a more matte gloss, but it just sets all that colour. Obviously you don't glaze your petals. So let us pull this together, and what I like to do is I like to line everything up so that I have everything is there then to hand. I'm using a dark green flowers tape, okay, and I have my centre. All right, so we need to line all these guys up, and when I have this done, can you see already most of the gloss is going out with that leaf? So it will stay a little bit shiny. If you wanted very shiny leaves, you don't glaze the back of them. Backs of leaves are not shiny. If you want to make it even a little bit more shiny, you let that dry and give it a second coat. So you can do that, and it will just give it shine. So ivy would be a lot more shiny. I don't want them bling bling shiny. But take a little bit of our flowers tape. Now when you work with flowers tape, it's dry, so there's not much happening there. What you need to do is you need to stretch it, and now, can you hear? There's a tack. So that releases the glue. So what I do, I'm right-handed, so I hold the tape in my left hand. I know this is going to appear flipped on the screen. So I'm going to... Chrissy, I don't know what that's about, but anyway, check your freezer, Elizabeth. So what I'm going to do is stretch this and it releases all the glue, all right? So then we can start to attach. So what we do here is that we attach the tape onto our center that we made. And for anyone that missed this, I've showed you how to make this at the very beginning. Attach it on, and then we want to start attaching our petals. So we go with the small petals first. Bend it there where the wire is, and I'm holding it. The wire is about halfway up the petal, so I'm holding it there so it's nice and strong. Okay. Add on a petal, turn, add on your next petal, and these are the smaller petals. Okay, 2 and 3. Now, if you're not used to doing flowers, you can add a petal and turn on and add in the tape. I'm used to doing them, so I can add in 3 at one time, and I'm just turning the tape, and each time my left hand is holding the tape and it's stretching it as I feed it onto the wire. So we pop that on there. We get the next set of 3. And we put it in between. So what I explained earlier was that I do my petals in rows. So we pop this on here, number 2, and it goes in between the petal in the first row. Now, because these are individually wired anyway, you can still move them about. Okay, Chrissy, I might run a couple of minutes over by the time I do the competition. Hope you guys have been listening. We have a competition for great giveaway coming very, very soon at the end of my demo. So, taking our next set of petals now, and this is onto the bigger size here, and we're going again. So you'll always put the petal you're adding on the join of the petals in front. Don't line up your petals. If you line up your petals like this, you can for some flowers, but if you line them up, you end up with like just one over the other. So if you do it this way, it gives you a more exaggerated. All right. So we go 2. And you always want to be looking down into the flower so you can see I need a petal here. And a little trick what I often do when I'm doing competition work is that I actually work through my phone camera. So I'll do a bit and then I'll put on the camera on the phone and I look at the flower through the camera. Now I can see this has gone a little bit askew. Let me just fix that. There, sit there. You should sit there. So I'll work through the phone camera and it's amazing the different things that you can see. And if you've ever competed and if you watch the judges, you know one of the greatest tools that the judges use for judging is a torch. Who knew? But if you do a cake and if you shine a torch up along it, boy, will you see the imperfections. And that's how a lot of this year in Dublin in the Irish Sugarcraft Show, we had a first the miniature cake competition, so it had to sit on a 6-inch board. They were so detailed, and I was watching them judging it, and they have a torch and they shine it up along the cakes. So you position all your petals, you know, get them. They don't need to be perfect, and they shouldn't be perfect. This is a wild rose. Okay, so when you come to Ireland, watch the ditches, and you'll see these wild roses growing. Come to our gorgeous country when it's safe, not yet, when it's safe. Come and visit. And come to County Wicklow and you will be intrigued. We're going to tape right down along, and often what I do is I give it a couple of turns. Now my tape now is at a 45-degree angle to the wire. If you hold the tape at 90, it just keeps spinning in the one spot. But what you do is attach it on, okay, and put it at a 45-degree angle and it will naturally spin down. Okay. Yes, a flashlight. Sorry, I haven't been keeping an eye. Yes, a flashlight or a torch. You'll see some imperfections when you use that, but that's what the judges use. They have a tough job. So That's your basic flower made. What we want to do then is we want to just tape up the leaves. And quite often what I use is I will use a carrier wire for the leaves just to give it a bit more strength. I'll not do it this time, but what I would do is I tape them onto a stronger wire. Actually, these will be okay. So we tape on our leaves here. Sorry, excuse me, wrong way around. Let's go again. Start with a big leaf, because on rose leaves, something unique about them, something unique is that the big rose leaf is actually at the end of the stem. Normally you have big leaves going down to little leaves. On a rose, there are little leaves going to big leaves at the top of the stem. So you start with a big leaf, we twirl it around a couple of times. All the time my left hand is pulling that tape to release the glue. I lay on my next leaf, so the tip of the leaf is about in the middle, just a little bit less. Can you see there's a little bit of wire kind of showing? If you just pull that, let me pull that down. Don't pull it too hard. It's sugar, it's not concrete. It will tighten it in for you. Couple more turns, we get our next leaf, we lay that on, and can you see how much that glaze has softened down now? It's not shiny, shiny. Lay that on. I'm coming very near the end, so I am coming near time to ask my question. Okay, so we lay that on. Let's just tape that in nice and tight. Then we need to open this out. So da-da-da, and you get it. Now, if you try and tape this up and you try and angle the leaves out, and sometimes they'll stand upright like this, they don't always have to face you. But if you try and angle them out, it's a bit fiddly. So by laying the leaves down along the stem, it's an awful lot easier. And what we do then is that we attach the leaves to the flower. Now you can attach on obviously a couple of stems. What you want to do is you want to attach it on maybe about an inch down. Don't go up tight to the flower, because when you angle that, you want to be able to see your leaves for sure on the back of that. Ooh, look, 1 minute to go. So, amazing now when I don't yap how much work I get done. I got given out to for yapping a couple of weeks ago on my demos, but I don't care. I'm a yapper. So, obviously you can do a couple of these. What would be lovely is actually if you were doing this for a wedding cake, if you make one of them with an extra row of petals, so it's a little bit bigger, and this one here, that maybe one just a little bit smaller, and you can tape the two of those. Let me just do that. So you can tape the two of those then together and you get a nice little statement flower. So I love Ireland. I adore Ireland. I adore where I live. I live in the Garden County of Wicklow in Ireland, and it is stunning. When you come, right, when you come to Ireland, you come into Dublin, go down the M50, go down the N81, go to Hollywood and head for Glendalough, and it is breathtaking. That's where you need to go. So that is the piece. What you do want to do if you're putting this onto a cake, make sure that you're going to leave a length of wire here, because you need to put the posy pick into the cake, you know, to secure it. Don't just stick your flowers into your cake, because obviously it's a danger. So you must use your posy pick. Hopefully you all know what the posy picks are. And I just trimmed the ends so my tape is right at the end. But if I was putting that, inserting it into a cake, I just bend that, pop the little handle then into my cake, into the posy pick, and then it's nice and secure. All right. So that is that. Now let me position, because we have to ask questions now. So I hope you're all listening. And Chrissy is going to pick the winner. So let me just pop you back up here. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. So first up, the question that I have, so the prize, as I say, is for, it's for Sugar Delights Feiner, and it is for a place in my class on Saturday, which will be an online private class. I was going to do some flower paste as a giveaway, but I'm very restricted on where I can actually post at the minute, and I've only got about 15 countries I can post to, just with the restrictions that are on. So my question is this, and I've picked a secret number before I started, and Chrissy has the number, so she's going to pick out. So here is the question. What class am I teaching on Saturday? Put your answers in the comments here. Chrissy will count them up here and she will pick the winner very shortly and announce it, and the winner will receive those 2 prizes. So something just nice and something to share. So hopefully somebody is going to answer and somebody is going to get the place. The classes that I've been teaching, as I say, they're in private groups on Facebook. So you can get joined in onto the classes and everything. And that, so if you just keep on answering your questions, Chrissy will give me a bell whenever the answer comes up, and she shall pick the winner. So there's already some correct answers popping up. I can see them popping up here before me. Just while that's happening, I want to just say a very quick thank you to everybody. Next up, there's another 3 demonstrations to four more people to come. Stick with it, guys. Get the coffee on and stick with this. So the next person coming up is Karina. She's coming up in about half an hour, I think. Then there is, let me get my notes because I had to write down notes. Then Susan is coming on, and then the amazing Sydney is coming on, and then Blake. So he's coming on at the end, and I think it's just been a fantastic marathon, really, hasn't it? Chrissy, I think you've been up for the 24 hours and you've seen it all. So Chrissy, shout out there, because I know there's definitely, the number has been passed and the correct answer is in. Chrissy just needs to do the tally so she can see, and I shall be in touch then with whoever wins. We'll get your contact details and I'll add you in my end, and then we'll get your contact details to Sugar Delights. So lots of right answers, Thank you all so very much for joining in. It's been great. It's been great fun. And my only panic was because I'm UK time, Irish time, and I was there going, I definitely have this right. Okay, Chrissy. So is Mary Ryan your winner? Is Mary Ryan the winner, Chrissy? Yes, so that was my only panic, that I would get the timing wrong. I'm there going, it definitely is, because it's 9 a.m. It's 10:04 now in the morning here. So Mary Ryan is our winner. Mary Ryan, congratulations. Delighted for you. So what I will do is I'll be in touch with Mary and we'll get all the details tallied up here. And that just leaves me to say a very, very, very big thank you. Carol, thank you. You brighten up the morning. Sure, the sun is shining. Why wouldn't I? I'm off to my shop now to do some work as well. So that is it. Thank you so much. There is another close-up of the rose. They even make nice tiaras if you want to make tiaras. And stay tuned, we've got about 25 minutes until the next demonstration kicks in, and it's going to be Karina, so you can have a look at that. There's still lots to see and lots to learn here this morning. Thank you so much, guys. Stay safe, and I hope you're all keeping well. We're almost through this. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're getting there. Stay safe, and I shall talk to you very soon. Take care. Bye. Take care.